What's up, everybody? This is Dr. Nick with Leverage Media, and welcome to another special episode of the Path to a Million podcast. I'm here with my good buddy, Dr. Stephen Franson of the 𝘂𝗶𝗶 Practice. How's it going, brother?
It's going great, man. Good to see you, Nick.
Good to see you, buddy. So we're doing interviews all this week with people that inspire me, that I think could add some real value to chiropractors that are kind of unsure what they should be focused on right now. And so just real quick, for anybody that doesn't know who you are, just give a 15-second synopsis.
I'm Dr. Stephen Franson from the 𝘂𝗶𝗶 Practice. So we have an extraordinary coaching and training organization that's made up of some of the best hearts, heads, hands, and feet in the world. Dr. Nick, we're just privileged to have you as a client and really excited to be able to come along chiropractors and their teams right now at this crazy time that promises to be an incredible distraction for everyone, but we're all going to come out on the other side of this struggle so much stronger. So I think it's going to be a great blessing for our industry.
I agree. So the three things I really want to cover today are, number one, like where you think chiropractors' minds should be at right now. Number two, I'm in your CEO training, how to be a great CEO and a leader to your team. And then number three, like if we do have to hunker down in place, like what is it that we should be focused on? What should we be training on so that we can come out stronger on the other side? So let's start with that mindset side of it. You know, I've watched some of your content that you've been putting out. And I just think that it's the right way that they should be thinking about it. So if you want to kind of share some of your thoughts on that.
Yeah. So first, let me thank everybody for everything that you're doing. The time is now. Like, we really need everybody to be engaged and to be present and to seize this opportunity, because really we have a responsibility. So I'm going to come at this sort of like three big ideas that are concurrent, right? So these things are all happening at the same time. So the first one is to face that the reality is this is an unprecedented situation, right? So, and there's a whole continuum here on your perspective. It is either a crisis or it is a distraction, or it's an opportunity, or all three at the same time. And the reality is that I think it is all three at the same time. So, first and foremost, just don't live in denial. Just recognize that this is the reality of it. And although you may not want to participate in the chaos, there's chaos out there, right? Yeah. And you're in it, your team's in it, your patients are in it. So the first thing to do is 𝗀𝗏 complex is just the brutal facts, like own the brutal facts of what's going on right now. And the second part of this is to come from this place of just respect and just respect the fact that we are so far on the other side of the fence, we forget there's a fence, right? So remember that you are so firmly planted in your principle and in your paradigm. Sometimes that can create blind spots, and that can come through in communication. So just be cautious here and just recognize what a perfect opportunity for you to check yourself, check your team, check your patients, check your community as to where they are in their belief system, because belief systems drive behavior, right? So what we're really interested in is behavior and helping everybody embrace the behaviors so that they're going to help them get through this and get on the other side of it with their lives, their minds, their health, their families intact, right? So the third part of this is to recognize our purpose and our mission. And, so forgive me if I get philosophical here, but, I believe what we provide is a vital service, so at the end of the day, as chiropractors, it's our responsibility to make sure that our community has a place to go and, number one, get the truth, and number two, get some strategies and tactics and getting taken care of, right? So the truth is that we're dealing with a virus, right? So, and this virus is a contagious virus, but there's a difference between contagious and dangerous, and we want to be the ones to differentiate it for our people, because it's the lack of knowledge, the lack of information that creates the fear, right? So we want to address that by saying, yes, it's contagious, and then give them context for that. What does that mean? It's 2 times as contagious as the flu, okay? And we had 50 million cases of the flu last year. So if it's twice as contagious, you do the math, right? The media is doing a disservice by getting everybody blown up on these numbers as they're, seeing the head count. The reality is this has just started, and we should all set the expectation that there's going to be millions of cases So people are already freaking out in the thousands. If this follows historical trends in viruses, we know that we're in for a couple of months of a crescendo, a plateau, and a decrescendo. So be the one that predicts that for your people, number one. Number two, make sure that they understand that the virus is dangerous, but it's dangerous to a very select group of people, and they're called the immunocompromised people, okay? So when they hear that, you should be asking, what does it mean to be immunocompromised? And what do I need to start doing and what do I need to stop doing so that I'm not one of those people that are at risk?
Yeah. I think that I think it was you that was saying that you want to use that word because that's what's in the lexicon and that's what they understand.
Correct.
But I also think that it's important for them to understand that immunocompromise is not a light switch. It's not you either are or you aren't. There's a continuum, and yeah, there's people that are going through chemo or they've got underlying conditions or whatever the case may be, but you can be immunocompromising yourself just by stressing out about it. You can be immunocompromising yourself by eating sugar. So just talking to them about that, just because they don't think they qualify as immunocompromised doesn't mean that they can't be doing things to avoid going down that route or to even getting healthier.
That's exactly right. And just like there's a continuum in everything, right? Especially when it comes to living things and our health, right? So where do you fall on that continuum, right? Of immunocompromised? Yeah. Are you an absolute bulletproof badass? Or are you somebody who is really tragically immunocompromised and your immune system is shut down and you should be, in a bubble room, right? So where are you on that continuum?
Right.
And like all things with our health, this is dynamic. There's no stasis. You're either moving this way or this way.
Right.
Every choice, every day. And you're exactly right, Nick. We want to be empowering people with the hope that, listen, you have influence over where on the continuum you are this moment, right? This day, right? Based on the choices, your behaviors matter. I like to teach you don't get sick, you do sick, okay? Yeah. Which means you don't get healthy, you do healthy, right? So empower people with that hope, but then with that hope, give them back personal responsibility as well so that they take back some control and some influence over their health, which is just so critically vital. Yeah. And, the way to approach the strategies and tactics, because I find that patients really respond well to start doing and stop doing lists, right? So give them those strategies, right? So give them the start doing, stop doings. We've got infographics that we've created that are just like, here you go. These are the things you need to start doing. These are the things you need to stop doing to move you this way towards the badass on the continuum, right? But there's one thing that you can't Google. There's one thing you can't just teach and tell across video. There's something that you can't just send as a text, and that is the chiropractic adjustment. So as chiropractors, we have to get real. We have to come back to our simple and elegant solution that teaches the truth. And it's our uniqueness in the marketplace, Nick, okay? As a principled chiropractor, we know that if somebody is subluxated, it creates a stress response in the body. When you have a stress response in the body, stress hormones are released, specifically cortisol. Cortisol downregulates your immune system. You are now immunocompromised. So we should be able to tell our patients, if you're subluxated, you're immunocompromised, okay? And you are now at risk.
Yeah.
So if you are subluxated, only the specific chiropractic adjustment will reduce that subluxation and get your body moving this way on that. So upregulates the immune system. Okay. So if you are subluxated, you're immunocompromised. If you get adjusted, it improves nerve function and immune system function. It upregulates that immune system.
Yeah. Before we move on to the leading your team piece, is there anything else that you think in terms of like how chiropractors should be thinking about it, communicating with their patients that we didn't cover?
I think just one important thing to do is to come from a framework of be careful not to make it that they'd have to be wrong for you to be right. Okay. So, there's a lot of power in that perspective. It's like, listen, I don't have to make you feel wrong or stupid or make anybody else wrong. Okay. So that doesn't strengthen any situation. Okay. So don't be distracted by or making enemies out of or talking about, sounding like a medical heretic or conspiracy theories. I mean, there's another day and time for that. Like right now, real leaders step up and say, listen, I don't know about that. I don't know about this. Here's what I do know about, right? And empower people from a perspective of here's how I can help you, and you can help yourself. Yeah.
I wish there was a little bit more of that on Facebook right now. In our community, I think that there's a lot of
there is Nick, man.
There's a lot of craziness going on right now. All right. So the next piece that I really, look to you for is just how to lead that team, like they're probably stressed out. They're probably worried about things, whether it's their health, job security. What are some things that you would recommend to doctors out there that are leading the team?
Yeah, there's nothing like a good crisis to see leaders step up and step forward, right? So, I'm going to encourage you, docs, that this is exactly the time when your team is going to look to you. Just like in a family situation, if there's a crisis, all the kids look at mom and dad, right? And they want to look, and they're looking at your eyes, right? So looking to see, are we going to be okay? Is everything going to be okay? So remember that. That's just the dad in me coming out, right? Yeah. So, you're trusted with this group of people as your team. And, it's really easy to be, the head guy, the leader gal who's running a great show when everything's hunky dory. Yeah. But when the shit hits the fan, that's when leaders step up and stand out. So just what an awesome opportunity for you to flex that muscle. So just the fact that you're willing to stand there in that storm and invite other people into the eye of the storm, that says a lot about you. So congratulations. And I just want to recognize you for that. Right. So secondly, have a strategy, right? So at the end of the day, your team members, they're human beings too, right? So the second they walk out of your little bubble, your ecosystem, they're walking out into the world and they're hearing all the things that your patients are hearing as well. Of course, they've got a better opportunity to be seeing things through a different lens, but don't take that for granted. Keep speaking into them, right? So speak into them like they are your most valuable patients, because they are, right? So this is, like all things like us, philosophy is a muscle. This is a fitness issue. Never take it for granted, right? So continue to speak into them and feed into them, and they'll love you for it and they'll appreciate you for it, right? Yeah. So secondly, make sure that you are empathetic here and recognize that they're the front line and they're taking 10 times the shit you are at that front desk with calls into the phone, patients, pushback, objections, questions, etc. So we've just got to recognize that and embrace it and say, okay, guys, I'm here for you. Tell me about the 5 questions that you're getting or objections that you're getting that you feel like you're just not serving well, that you hate, they make you cringe. I call it the 5 questions that own you. What are the things that you're getting asked or you're hearing that make you cringe, that you wish you had a better response for? Let's sit down. Let's put it on a dry erase board. Let's hammer it out and give them the scripting, give them the response that's accurate and relevant. And it makes them proud to deliver the answer so that they feel like they've served the person or the patient really well. And that everybody walks away as a win-win situation. So, that's huge for your team. It makes them feel like, he or she gets me. They understand that I'm on the front line. And they're also going to have more confidence if they have more clarity and certainty because you've helped them get there. So it's a great exercise to do. We did it with our team. We're doing it with all of our clients in Remarkable Practice. We have I'm doing a video actually this week to walk through that. It's the top 5 questions that your CAs are getting asked and how to answer those questions. I'm also doing the top 5 questions that our clients are asking us. So right. Kind of a great stretch out and warm up for that, Nick. So thanks for that. Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, write them down, train on them. Last thing, divert your trainings right now with your team to deal with what's going on right now. Okay. So, and a training doc doesn't mean you get around the room and you commiserate, right? So we're not going to have a bitch and moan, bellyache and fear mongering session. Okay. Don't let that happen. Don't let this get derailed. I want you to show up solutions oriented and take them through exercises like I just said. What are the top 5 things you're hearing that you need help with? And hunker down and slay those dragons.
Gotcha. If this is a 3-month issue, it's very different than if it's an 18-month issue. What would you encourage? Are there any strategies that you've talked through with clients or have thought about yourself if this does stretch out to be more than what some offices have cash in the bank for?
Yeah, I know what you're asking me. So let me say this, that I think it's going to be longer than an 18-month issue. And I really think I'm going to look on the positive side of this is we have an opportunity right now that's unprecedented. Like the conversation has changed, right? So yeah. I know you're like me, Nick, and when a patient comes to you, you want to talk about their health, right? So people outside the practice, if the economy's sideways, they want to talk about the economy if it's independent of like this issue that we're going through right now. Yeah. If their football team wins the Super Bowl, they want to talk about that, right? So if the weather's, they want to talk about that. And we're always trying to get the conversation back to health. Let's talk about health, right? So in the office, here's the blessing in all of this. Everyone everywhere is talking about health and health issues, right?
Yeah.
So we are in a time right now where we don't have to get the conversation back to health. So the question is what are you going to do with that opportunity, right?
Mm-hmm.
So let's change the conversation that we were having inside the practice. Are you talking about the Dow Jones? Are you talking about the football games? Are you talking about the weather? Now is the time. Step into this space. There's a gap right now. There's a knowledge gap. There's an information gap that's been created by the media, by the government, by the medical world. We can step into it.
Right.
Like, let's change the conversation right now. Why does somebody see a chiropractor? Change the conversation. And if you do that, it's going to pay you dividends for 3 months, 18 months, 18 years.
Yeah.
Okay. I know that to be true. Nick, in all fairness, I know that's not what you asked me, but I had to say that. Okay.
No, I understand.
So the way I'm advising our coaching clients is I want you to address this in 3 stages. Okay. So this first stage, and let's call it, just for the sense of time, let's call it the first 2 weeks. Okay. 2 to 3 weeks. I want you to stabilize your base. Okay. That means get your head right, get your team right, and then get your patients right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That's what we need to focus on right now. Okay. You're going to see somewhere between 15 and 30% attrition over these next couple of weeks. Okay. If you've been paying attention to your metrics and your stats all along, just expect that. Okay.
Yeah.
And that's going to be essentially the consequence of this distraction that's happening right now. Okay. So there's almost no way around that. So don't beat yourselves up and don't freak out. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
We have major distractions. People's lives are upset. Their kids are at home from school. They've got elderly parents that they need care of. And there's 100 other reasons why they're going to be canceling everything just to kind of get their feet on the ground.
Yeah.
So don't freak out, and make sure your team knows that. We want to get it to the 15%, not to the 30% or more. Okay.
Right.
So stage 1, phase 1, let's focus on stabilizing our base. Right. So, and then we go into stage 2. Stage 2, this is the time for reactivation. Okay. About next week, week 2 through week 3 and 4, I want you to reach out to the patients, the previously active patients who have discontinued care in the last year. You can go back as far as the beginning of 2019. Reach out to them with love and make sure that you're giving them an option. Here's a place where people come for a better way to better health. I know that, times like this in a good crisis, people actually start paying attention to what's most important to them. And whatever took them out of your office in the first place, this is a great time for you to reach out and say, just thinking about you. And I want to remind you that subluxation creates immunocompromise, and you don't want to be at risk. And we're here doing our work, and we're here for you, and we want to help you get through this, right? So reach out to them and do a reactivation campaign. Yeah. Strategically, what I suggest, and I don't want to get too granular, is that you guys put together a badass workshop like we did that is basically about how to build your immune system so that you cannot be immunocompromised. Like, have an immune system workshop, an advanced workshop, the end of next week or midweek the following week. So somewhere in there. So that is the campaign to get everyone stabilized for the first phase. And then also what you're inviting people to come back to for reactivation. So the conversion piece of this is, for the reactivation, is simply get them to show up for your workshop. Yeah. And in the workshop, the conversion is to get them back for a day 1 examination, right? So don't try to go from a letter to jumping back into regular care. I would suggest inviting them to that advanced workshop and converting them at that point, okay? Gotcha. Then stage 3 of this, it's time for outreach, guys. Here's the truth. When the madness becomes the normal, right? Because it's not going to all go away, right? The dust starts to settle and there's a cooling off period. There's going to be a lot of business owners out there who are like, holy crap, I can't ever let this happen again. Okay. There's going to be a lot of empty gyms. There's empty churches. There's empty schools. There are people who are decision makers who are like, there's got to be something I can do. Something beyond stay home and wash your hands. I have to be able to give my people something that they can do to mitigate the risk, because I don't want to go through this again. Right. And you want to be the person that shows up on their doorstep with a badass health workshop, okay, a health talk that you're going to deliver to your people to give them tactical and practical strategies that they can employ to reduce their risk. Yeah. Step 1, step 2, step 3.
Love that. All right, let's take the third topic I wanted to talk about. If things, San Francisco is shelter in place now. New York, I think, is going to happen in the next 24 hours or so. If you can't practice, what is it that you should be working on, either yourself, your team? How should you be in communication, like Zoom calls with your patients? What would you recommend to make sure that when this passes, that you're coming out stronger on the other end?
Yes, yes, and yes, man. Your instincts are so good, Nick. So, here's what we know about nature. There's always seasons, right? So if you look at, I know you're, I know you love wine, Nick, or at least you love wine country, Nick. Right?
I love hanging out with people that love wine.
I know you love hanging out with us in wine country. Right? So if you look at the way a vineyard operates, there's seasons, right? So there's, we've got a lot of hard work, heavy lifting, right? In this clearing and planting season. And then there's a rest season, right? And then there's a harvest season, right? So then there's a rest season, right? So it's cyclical in nature, right? And the same should be true of our businesses. And we should be doing this, deliberately and strategically as opposed to, reactively. But at the end of the day, seize the day, take the opportunity, take advantage of the fact that, life is crazy, life is busy. And we always use the excuse that we're too busy to actually do the important things that are going to make us more productive, right? Yeah. So in other words, tighten up your systems, clean up your procedure manuals, get your team training together, get a training culture established, lockdown, right? Like even if you do it all virtually, however you need to do it, when there's a will, there's a way.
Yeah.
When the why is big enough, the hows work themselves out. So I don't want any excuses for anybody on this, okay? So this is hunker down and train yourself and train your people. Get your assets and your resources in line, right? So establish that training culture, build skills. So when we talk about, do outside talks, you see the pivot that we made, Nick, if I can do a shameless promotion. We had the remarkable attraction immersion or live event scheduled for Chicago in your town, right? And I got Roberto Monaco coming out there. And what are we training on? We're training on how influential and persuasive speaking. So you're more influential and productive with your outside talks, your dinner talks, your reported findings, etc. Right? So we need to make a shift because it's in lockdown, right? Yeah. So we didn't cancel it. We kept it on, but we're bringing it online. So we're doing it as an online training. So we made that pivot. So we're doing the immersion. It's just all going to be web-based, which is really awesome because we usually have to limit it to 200 people. Now we can open it up to everyone, and we're going to do the same schedule, the same awesome content, the same awesome coaching, because this is the time. We almost postponed, but I was like, time out. This is what people need to learn right now. So during this crazy period, let's go head down and let's become experts at networking. How to learn how to land an opportunity to speak to get in front of a group of people, because that's usually the bottleneck, right?
Yeah.
Then how to have that meeting with the decision maker so they go from somebody who's like, maybe I'll let you talk to my people, to a raving fan who makes it a mandatory assembly, right? So how do you make that happen? And then how to deliver that badass talk so everyone's raising their hand saying, yeah, you know what, my family needs a better way to better health. What are you using this time for right now? Are you going to sit in front of the TV? Are you going to sit on your phone on social media? Are you going to fret and worry about things you have no influence over? Or are you going to narrow your focus and say, I finally have time to become an expert at these elements that are going to build my practice? Because on the other side of the craziness, we're going to be looking at a massive growth spike for those people who are prepared for it.
I agree 100% with that. Just mentioning the immersion, if somebody does want to, now that it's virtual, if somebody does want to attend that, what would be the best way to find out more information about it?
So you can go to the Remarkable Practice /attraction, I think it is. It's our events. You go to the events, you can register right there. And maybe we can put a link here, Dr. Nick, if that's okay with you guys. So we can put a link right here, and we'd love to have you guys join us. It's going to be awesome. We're actually super stoked for it. And our group is ready to really over deliver, because this is the first time we've moved it from an awesome live event to an awesome online event.
Yeah. I'm going to have to figure out where all the business happens if there's no bar to go to on Saturday night.
We're going to have a virtual bar afterwards.
There you go. Last thing I wanted to get out of you, as someone who runs multiple businesses with people all over the country, and you're dealing with remote work, what are some tips you could give people if they do have to run their team remotely?
The technology we have available to us today is incredible.
Yeah.
Like, I have 3 businesses, and my team's all over the world. Like our biggest challenge is time zones, right? So half of our team's in Australia.
Freaking Aussies.
Yeah, freaking Aussies, man. It's like, one of my partners is in Vanuatu, right? So I don't even know what the time difference is there. It's like, as soon as it starts being like 15, 16 hours time difference, you're just like, whatever, right?
Yeah.
So, but try doing, group calls from Hawaii to Sydney, Australia. This is like 27 hours time difference here. So, so leveraging Zoom, Zoom is, or any video conferencing platform is the way to do it, because there's nothing like this, Nick, right? So it's one thing to be on the phone. It's another thing to be like this. Set up a Zoom account, get your groups in there and training together. And you can do everything but adjust people, virtually. So you can do consultations for your clients. A lot of our clients are saying, well, if I can't adjust people, they've got lots of questions, I'll do consultations all day long. And you charge for your consultations, right? So why not have people can book you for 15 or 30-minute consultations and charge them for it. You just set up a merchant account, swipe the credit card, or just run it through your office and do virtual doctoring.
Yeah, most of the payment processing companies, Cash Practice, Fortis, that stuff, they all have like online payment pages that you can set up if you did want to do that, and just create a link to it. And so yeah, I love this. Zoom is, half my life I feel like is on Zoom now. So
yeah, and you said it before with this is the time when we should be, everybody's always too busy to do what they should be doing as far as content marketing is concerned. This is the time. Capture it. Is like, if I'm spending 40% less time seeing patients because we're in lockdown, or 100% less time, split that time up and be like, I'm going to spend 30% on training, and I'm going to spend 30% on developing, my relationship with my team members. And I'm going to spend 40% of the time generating content, and I'm going to be online. I'm going to be interacting with people. Stay engaged, stay in front of them, stay the voice. Remember, you're their health coach. And we talk about the ascension of the chiropractor. What's out there for you is this point here. The first stage is, if you're the person that delivers the chiropractic adjustment, that life-giving chiropractic adjustment, then you're their adjuster, right? The person that ascends to the point where you are the person that teaches them about the paradigm and changes the way that they think, and you take them from outside in to inside out, and you adjust them, that's where you become their chiropractor. And when you go from the chiropractor to being the person that actually has them follow your recommendations for care, and you hold them accountable to doing the things you told them to start doing and stop doing, that's when you become their health coach. What an awesome opportunity for you to step into the role of health coach with these people and make sure that you get them on track with their lifestyle.
Absolutely. Well, I know you got to get going. You got a lot of stuff going on right now. Any other closing words for people that maybe are a little bit anxious out there?
Yeah. So, just take a breath, take a moment, okay, and just recognize that, God's got a big plan here, and his plan's always better than our plan. So, for me, I know that, I'm not in charge of everything, but I'm going to absolutely grab the reins on the things that I have influence over, and take all the energy that I would put into worry, and I'm going to be productive. So there's an opportunity here. You're going to look back 3 months from now, and you're going to ask yourself, how did you use this time? How did you use this opportunity?
This interview is a perfect example of why I'm a Stephen Franson fangirl, and I recommend everybody to do all the things that you do. So, Doc, I appreciate your time. I looking forward to the virtual immersion, and can't wait to get through the other side of this with you.
Awesome, man. Love you, bro.
Love you, brother.
Good luck, everybody. Enjoy the weirdness.
All right. We'll see you on the next one.